He posted his paperwork proving that he wasn't a snitch. But 2 hours later, he goes and robs Gucci Mane. So the PO knows where you are at all times. So stupid.
Arguably might be the biggest crash out in hip-hop history, man. This nigga was on top of the game and then blew it all.
Oh, probably the most influential rapper of this generation aside from National Basketball Association Youngboy, but also the king of crashing out. No one, and I mean no one, can top this level of crash out. Even as a millionaire with his face plastered everywhere, he's still willing to commit crimes with his face open with zero thoughts of consequences. Even after facing 60 years in prison and then serving 4, he still did not learn his lesson. This is the embodiment of a king crash out. So get ready because this video will have you laughing, sighing, and probably canceling your next vacation to Memphis. The story begins in South Memphis, Tennessee, and if you don't know, this is like Baton Rouge on steroids. Like if you're from the East or West Coast, whatever idea you have of hood, this is like 100 times worse. No structure, no real community, no cohesion, just pure chaos. This environment is so messed up that even if you're raised perfectly in a 2-parent household, you still might have to get with the business just to survive. But then in the case that you're raised in a fractured family that's in the streets, your chances of making it out of South Memphis are basically zero. Well, with that being said, I now introduce you to a man by the name of Lantrell Williams. Lantrell grew up in South Memphis, right in the heart of the dope era. And given Memphis's geographical position, it was actually a very important city for the drug trade. Right in the middle of the I-55 corridor made it the perfect location to distribute south to Louisiana and Mississippi and Arkansas and Texas, and then north to Chicago, Kentucky, Indiana, St. Louis. You get the picture. And that being said, Memphis created a lot of street thousandaires and some millionaires as well. One of these, and most importantly, our young man Lantrell. Lantrell came up slanging in the streets, but quickly outgrew Memphis and became known as the mob boss. The mob boss of what? Well, that would be the gang he created called the Memphis Mob. Well, with all of his street money, he was actually able to turn a lot of it legit with his legitimate business. He opened some local nightclubs, but more importantly, he started a record label called Mob Ties Records. So to get this straight, he's the mob boss of his gang called the Memphis Mob, and he opened a record label called Mob Ties. So, obviously he had no plans of concealing his street life. And as you'll see, not making smart decisions is a major theme of this video. Well, either way, being the mob boss, he got a lot of women. And along with that, he had a lot of children. Kids left and right, but most importantly, his very first son, Lantrell Jr., born in 1999. Despite having real motion and the ability to keep his son away from the streets, Lantrell did not do that at all. In fact, since his birth, he was raised right in the mix of it, being raised in the Cane Creek apartments with his mom.
A troubled South Memphis apartment complex is back in the news tonight after yet another tenant contacted ABC 24 about the deplorable living conditions there.
Literally inside the trap spots with all the bad influences right in front of him. And when it comes to violence, he certainly was not sheltered from that either. Why I say that? Well, because allegedly, his pops was big into that as well. And that takes us to the year 2004. It's now 2004 and Mob Boss has enough money to sign artists to his label. To this point, he spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars building out studios and signing local talent that he hopes can one day make it big. Well, if you can remember, back at this time, the biggest way to blow up was to go to a local radio station. So this is exactly what Mob Boss does as he approaches the biggest local station known as Q1075. And long story short, he goes to the label, he says, "Hey, I got all this cash, can you promote my artists?" And they say, "No." Then he says, "Look, I can give you more cash." And they say, "No." Either his artists were actually trash, or the label just didn't trust him and didn't want to take his money, but either way, the answer was that's not happening. So of course, Mr. Mob Ties Records is not happy. And that takes us to April 12th, 2004. It's a late night in downtown Memphis, and Q1075 DJ Rebecca Glenn is asleep in her apartment. That's when she gets a loud, alarming knock on the door. She wakes up concerned, squints her eyes, and makes her way up to the front. And without even checking the peephole, she opens up the door. Boom! right there is Lantrell's right-hand man, a mob member named Stanley Andrews. Instantly, Stanley rushes into her apartment and puts his hands around her neck. Sadly, this is where she loses her life. After doing this, Stanley quietly goes to her apartment, takes all of her belongings, and heads home. Well, the next day, after not showing up for work, her coworkers were concerned, so they went to her apartment, and there they found her on the ground.
You unalive the lady because they wouldn't take your records? What in the world, goddamn, yo, these niggas lost their mind. These Memphis niggas is wild. Holy shit. Yo, that's why Pooh Shiesty like that, man. That's why you're a trash. This is why this shit that you doing don't make no goddamn sense. This is the shit your daddy them was doing? This is what your daddy them was doing? What the fuck is going on?
A real massive tragedy for the city of Memphis, but after everyone was done grieving, they were like, what the heck could that have been? Rebecca was well liked by everyone, so who in the world could have wanted to do this? For many days, police would have no clue, but then somebody would make a dumb mistake. After receiving all of Rebecca's belongings from Stanley, our mob boss Lantrell would go to the mall and use her credit cards. Then, if that's not bad enough, he would list all of her jewelry and personal belongings on Craigslist under his own account. So just like that, in a few days, police would pick him up, and then days later, Stanley would be arrested for murder. All in all, mob boss might be America's dumbest criminal. Well, of course, Stanley would get life in prison, and for mob boss Lantrell, he would only get 1.5 years, and then he'd be right back home to Memphis. So I tell this story to show you that Pooh Shiesty, also known as Lantrell Jr., was raised by serious criminals, but also by dumb criminals. His father is the sloppiest criminal ever, but somehow he never really gets serious consequences. For example, right after getting out for this, he'd catch another felony, do another year, and then after that, in 2009, he'd get another felony, and then he'd do less than a year for that. If you're unfamiliar, in a state like Tennessee, this is impossible. They're just waiting to get you out of here. But as discovered in 2026 paperwork, he had been cooperating with police since the year 2007. This will be very important down the line, but for now, we move on. With his father in the streets and in and out of jail constantly, a young Lantrell Jr. never had real guidance, and sadly, he'd fall into the streets as well. Being exposed to everything at a very early age made him grow up way too fast. Believe it or not, by the age of 10, he was already breaking in cars and doing armed robberies, something that people that are like 17 years old still have never even thought of. But this was completely normal to him, and by the age of 11, he was already arrested and on ankle monitor.
11 years old, nigga got a goddamn ankle monitor. Yo, nigga, you wild, bro.
Basically, he wanted to be just like his father, getting fast money, getting all the girls, you know, doing whatever the hell he wants. And at this early age, the lifestyle was already rewarding him, as he had nice shoes, clothes, swag, everything was put together. And while you will get girls off this, in a city like Memphis, you'll also get a bunch of haters. So believe it or not, in 2013, at just the age of 14 years old, Lantrell Jr. would catch a hot one. The rumor states that somebody at school was hating on him, they'd go back and forth, and after school, he'd shoot him in the leg. So already at just 14 years old, he was fully in the streets and now almost lost his life. So on top of all the trapping and hidden licks, he was now carrying heat every single day just to protect his life. Now mind you, all of that was just middle school, so now we fast forward to high school. High school would kind of be a great time for Lantrell Jr. because he was like the coolest kid at school, and him and his homie Big 30, they'd start their own gang. This would be known as Choppa Gang, and together they were getting all the girls, the money, the guns. They were just lit. But not only would Choppa Gang exist at school, but it was also active in the streets. And obviously, being in a city like Memphis, just being in the streets will introduce you to serious beef. In this case, beef with a crosstown gang known as EBG, which stands for E-Bezel Gang, which commemorates a fallen member in 2015. Well, long story short, EBG is nothing to play with, and losses would go back and forth on both sides, but we ain't got time for that in this video. On top of that, to be honest, the details are very slim, because unlike Chicago, where the whole world is following who kills who, in Memphis, nobody really knows. I mean, the city averages like 300 murders a year, and only 100 of them get solved, so nobody really actually knows. Well anyways, for Lantrell, living in the Cane Creek apartments, being a part of Choppa Gang, beefing with EBG, all of this gets him in another very serious situation. And that quickly takes us to June of 2016. It's the summertime before his senior year of high school, and Lantrell Jr. is outside living it up. And on this particular day, there happens to be a community basketball game organized by the police. Number one, it's a fundraiser to raise money for the community, and number two, it's a way to get the kids off the streets. So Pooh and his Choppa Gang homies go to the event thinking that, hey, there's a lot of police, it's definitely gonna be safe. But that's not the case. Pow! A rival sees him and shoots him in the arm. Thankfully, he survives after being rushed to the hospital, but this just goes to show how dangerous Memphis is. If your rival sees you, it does not matter where you are, how many people around, or even that there's police around, they're gonna target you. Now, details on the situation are definitely limited, so I'm not gonna make anything up. But Pooh's rival EBG Jizzle would say in a song that Lil Rodney did it. To be honest, I don't know who Lil Rodney is, and I don't really care to know either. But either way, from many accounts, after this, Pooh Shiesty would get seriously active in the streets, bending blocks, catching ops, letting the chop blow. You get the picture. Well, after this scary call and the second time he's been shot, Pooh Shiesty is now approaching adulthood. And at 18 years old, it's the perfect time to try to do something with your life. So inspired by his dad's old record label, he begins making freestyle rap videos in 2016. Under the name of Pooh Shiesty, Pooh being his childhood nickname, and Shiesty, his reputation in the streets. Well, despite his freestyle videos getting some type of traction in Memphis, at this point he's still fully in the streets. He doesn't yet see the vision, at least not for 2 years, when in 2018 he begins to see the vision. This is when he hops in the booth for the very first time and instantly begins dropping bangers. Right away, he catches a buzz in his region, not only Memphis, but Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all that southern area. Still an underground artist, but he does catch the attention of a major mogul. In April of 2020, Gucci Mane discovers Pooh Shiesty and quickly brings him to Atlanta. Now for a kid from South Memphis, this is a dream come true. Gucci Mane wants to sign me. So quickly, he heads out there, and when he gets there, Gucci Mane slaps $1 million on the table. $1 million for 5 albums and 80% of your streams. God damn. Please do not sign that. That's what we're all thinking. But in his situation, he has $1 million in front of him. He comes from poverty. So of course, he signs it. 21 years old with $1 million. I mean, it's really hard to say no to that. But for Gucci, my God, did he pull off the heist of the century. He is taking a risk. You know, Pooh Shiesty could die or go to jail at any moment. But aha, Gucci puts a clause in the contract that if Pooh goes to jail or anything happens, he doesn't have to pay him his money. But get this, even if this does happen, he still owes him the 5 full albums.
Oh, technically he didn't rob Pooh then. Because it states a clause, if you go to prison, I don't have to pay you. You know what I'm saying? So technically, he didn't rob you. The contract, it was in the contract. Your dumb ass didn't read the contract, partner. Your dumb ass didn't understand what you were signing. So the nigga, if it's in the clause, if you go to jail, I don't gotta pay you. That's my $25 million, nigga. I own 80% of your streams. That's my money. Now you're in jail. I own all of that shit. What the fuck? Gucci played this young boy. Yes, he did. He played him. Oh, yo, nigga, yo, you got.
Well, either way, none of that matters for the meantime, because right away, Pooh Shiesty takes off. The 1017 cosign actually takes him to the national audience, and he packs it up with hit after hit after hit. So everything is going like a dream. The money, the cars, the fame, the hits. But yet, he still wants to be in South Memphis. Even despite Gucci Mane being like, bruh, come move to Atlanta, go move to Miami, you got the money, just get the hell out of Memphis. But just like his pops, Pooh just never wants to leave the hood. And that takes us to July 7th, 2020. It's a late night in South Memphis, and Pooh Shiesty is sitting in his car at a gas station. He and 2 homies chilling behind tents at one of the most dangerous gas stations located on Lamar Avenue. Chilling at a dangerous gas station as a now famous rapper, not a smart decision. Well, at 9:30 p.m., Pooh or one of his homies spot a suspicious car. So either Pooh or one of his friends who's sitting in the passenger seat cocks back their gun and simply waits. Then as soon as they see the man hop out of the suspicious car, they roll down their windows and begin to blow. Bang! Shots ring out back and forth, but thankfully not a single person is hit. So after the bang out, both cars head off in separate directions, and because this is Memphis, it's not investigated. I mean, shootings are so common that in Memphis, if nobody dies, it's really not a big deal. But either way, Pooh Shiesty's license plate is tied to the shooting, which will matter down the line. But when Gucci hears about this through the grapevine, he's like, Pooh, get the hell out of Memphis, bruh. So I suppose he gets the message after this dangerous incident, and he decides to head down to Miami. Now you'd think he'd want to lay low, make some music, make some more money, chill with the girls. No, just like his daddy, he can never get out of the South Memphis street mentality. And that fast forwards us a few months to October 9th, 2020. It's a sunny Friday morning in Miami, and Pooh Shiesty rents out a slime green McLaren to use for a music video. So to make this happen, he meets up with the rental guy, a man by the name of Brandon Cooper. Now Brandon is not your typical rental company, like he's not doing any paperwork, or it's more so hit me up on Instagram, give me some cash, you can use my car for the day. So at 12 p.m, Pooh and a couple of his homies arrive to Bay Harbor Islands to meet up with Brandon. They arrive in a black Maybach and they pull in right next to the McLaren. So Pooh Shiesty hops out, Brandon gets out to meet him, shows him the car, and then has him sit in the driver's seat. Of course, Brandon hops around, hops in the passenger seat, and begins to show him how to use the car. So while they're dealing with all this, Pooh is also awaiting a shoe guy to come sell him some shoes. 12:22 p.m. This shoe guy arrives in a Mercedes and backs in. Well, as soon as he pulls in, two of Pooh Shiesty's homies, Bobby and Jaden, hop out. And instead of buying shoes, they whip out guns and they begin to rob him.
Man, give me all the designer before I turn this Draco into Mercer.
As they're robbing him, one of them accidentally lets off a shot. Pow! And this is when Pooh gets the message. So while sitting in the McLaren, out of nowhere, he whips out a Draco and points it at Brandon. And as Brandon quickly tries to jump out of the car, Pooh lets off a shot. He hits him right in his butt. In the video, you can see Brandon running off holding his backside, which I don't even know how he did that. A 7.62 at close range? Whoo! But quickly, Pooh pulls out with the McLaren, speeds off, and then his homies speed off in the Maybach. However, while driving away, he leaves behind a duffel bag full of $40,000. But either way, they somehow get away and seemingly get away with this. Okay, first of all, let's just analyze how dumb the situation is. First of all, even though you arrive with $40,000 in cash and clearly are able to buy the shoes, your boys decide to rob the shoe guy for no reason. Then, for no reason at all, you decide to shoot the car guy in the butt with a Draco for no reason. Then you take off and leave a bag full of cash with all your fingerprints on it. Lord have mercy, dumb, and maybe even dumber than his dad, but yeah, I don't think his dad would have even done this. But again, because he saw his dad go his whole life committing crime after crime and not getting in trouble for real, and then he himself did the same thing and didn't really face consequences either, he thinks that he can just get away with this and it's no problem. Well, for the meantime, it's true. Pooh can simply do whatever he wants. And a month after this incident, he dropped the biggest song he's ever dropped.
Come get it, Back in Blood.
Back in Blood featuring Lil Durk absolutely takes over the country and even Europe as well. This not only makes Pooh Shiesty a sensation, but also a staple in the game. Now you might be thinking, all this success for such a bad dude, but maybe think twice about that. And now that introduces us to his brother. I now introduce you to Pooh Shiesty's half-brother by the name of Terrence Henderson, also known as T to P. Growing up, Pooh and T were like more than brothers, really best friends in the world. So when Pooh's career began to take off, T was of course excited, like I'm gonna be right next to you too. However, during this time, T began getting migraines that progressively got worse and worse. But despite all this, T did not want to go to the doctor. I mean, one, he didn't have health insurance, but also he's like, I'm gonna just thug this out. Well, eventually it would become excruciating, and after being rushed to the emergency room, doctors would discover brain cancer. Things are looking bad, and on top of this, because he doesn't have health insurance, it all has to come out of pocket. Surgeries and treatments that I'm talking at the minimum are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. When Pooh gets word of this, he doesn't even think twice, just pays it, boom. Handle anything you need to handle. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the slim chance that his brother will survive. Sadly though, after many attempts to prolong his life, he passes away on February 18th, 2021. This of course devastates Pooh tremendously. My brother is gone just like that. But instead of sitting around moping, he decides to use this as motivation and do exactly what T would want him to do. Keep dropping hits and run up the millions. Well, because he only owns 20% of his streams, he's extra motivated to do a bunch of shows, clubs, walkthroughs, whatever he can to run it up. And that takes us to May 30th, 2021. It's a late Saturday night at the famous Miami club King of Diamonds, and Pooh Shiesty is set to perform a few songs for $30,000. So at 2 in the morning, he arrives with his crew. He pulls up to the club with a pistol in his waistband and $20,000 falling out of his pocket. Somehow he makes it through security with no problems, and he hits the stage to perform. Well, while he's performing, a fan grabs at his pocket and his money falls down to the floor. Naturally, after seeing this, people go down and they begin picking up his money. Some people to hand it back to him and others to put it in their pockets. Pooh Shiesty is understandably pissed as he bends over to grab whoever's grabbing his money. And as he bends over, the club security see the gun on his waist. So the security approach him and they begin to escort him out of the club. Pooh Shiesty, being who he is not thrilled with this. So once he gets to the exit of the club, he whips out his blick and he shoots one of the security guards in the ankle. He and his crew run to the car, spin off, and somehow seemingly get away with this. Once again doing wild ass shit for no reason and getting away with it. At this point, he's doing whatever the hell he wants. Shooting a dude in the butt with a Draco in a McLaren, then driving away in the McLaren, then shooting a security guard in the foot for no reason. He's getting all the money in the world, all the love, the girls, the fame, everything. And he thinks that he just will never get in trouble for anything. But right in the midst of the biggest run in his career, the rooster comes home to crow. On July 7th, 2021, he's indicted by the feds.
South Florida rapper is facing a judge after police say that he was involved in an armed robbery. NBC6 reporter Claudia DeCampo has more on the charges he's facing.
He's an entertainer. He goes by the name Pooh Shiesty.
His real name is Lantrell Williams, and prosecutors say on October 9th, he was involved in an armed robbery in Bay Harbor Islands.
Several people agreed to meet 20-year-old Lantrell Williams.
Detectives said Williams arrived at a parking lot near East Bay Harbor Drive in Town Hall just before 2 in the afternoon. A black Mercedes Maybach followed and another black vehicle. Then, according to the arrest warrant, while the alleged victims were talking with Williams, 2 men from the other black car approached them with guns, shooting at them, and Williams allegedly pointed an assault rifle at one of them. Williams, aka Pooh Shiesty, is from Memphis and had recently signed on with recording label Gucci Mane's. Now he could face life in prison if convicted of armed robbery with a firearm, a charge that usually has no bond.
It ends up being attempted murder, armed robberies, shootings, conspiracies, you name it. And with these charges, facing over 60 years in prison. When the news breaks, everyone has 3 thoughts. Damn, so he wasn't capping in his lyrics. Wait, he's really dumb. Why would he do all that? Yeah, his life and career are definitely over. Bye-bye, you ruined it all. Go enjoy eating out of a tin tray for the rest of your life. And why everyone thought this? Well, firstly, it happened in Florida and they don't play. But secondly, the feds picked it up. Well, given the fact that he moved so sloppy and left a whole trail of evidence, everyone thought that, hey, he's just better take a plea deal. His lawyer thinks the same thing. There's really no way I can prove you're innocent. So instead, I can try to get sympathy for you and just hope they give you a lighter sentence. Your Honor, you see, my client had a really difficult life. He really doesn't know any better than the life he lives. His father was in and out of jail his entire life, and he grew up right in the middle of one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world. He already went to juvenile hall at 11 years old, and then he was shot at 14, and then shot again at 17 years old. Then his music career takes off, and right in the midst of it, he loses his brother to cancer. If you give my client a second chance, I promise you he won't mess it up. Welp, the sympathy works, cause now instead of serving 60 years, he serves 63 months. Just a little over 5 years for 2 shootings and a robbery. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So he begins his prison sentence on January 4th, 2022. Now, when most rappers go to prison, their careers pretty much die out. The next wave of rappers come along and everyone forgets you. But for Pooh Shiesty, even in prison, he remains relevant, because that's how big his impact was. It wasn't quite young boy levels, but somewhere in the stratosphere. So despite having to sit down for 5 years, the future is really bright, because when he gets out, he's going to be right back to it. Well, with that being said, we fast forward 11 months into his sentence when Pooh receives some devastating news. On December 22nd, 2022, his close friend and fellow 1017 rapper Big Scar passes away.
This is about a Memphis rapper connected to Young Dolph. Rapper Big Scar has died. This is what was posted by rapper Gucci Mane on his Instagram page. It shows a picture of Big Scar along with the caption that reads, "This hurts. I'm going to miss you." We are hearing the rapper died today. He was signed to Gucci Mane's label. Right now, we are working to learn how he died. Big Scar was about to go on tour with Key Glock next year. He was just 22 years old.
This, of course, devastates Shiesty, but then it turns into anger. Why? Because shortly after the passing, Pooh Shiesty would get word that Gucci Mane wants his 1017 chain back from Scar that he gave to him when he signed to his label. And apparently, Scar's family was taken aback by this. Like, damn, you gave him this chain when he signed to you. And now that he passes away tragically, you want it back from us? Man, that ain't right, bruh.
Allegedly, they said that Gucci asked for Scar's 1017 chains back after he passed away. And they said that Gucci really did nothing for the funeral or nothing for the family. And this is actually, we have audio of the brother and sister talking about it.
The minute that them folk called your phone to see if you gonna pay for the funeral, you blocked them. That's not real, cuz. On God, that's not real. You ain't straight, and you ain't getting them chains, cuz. It ain't no way that's happening. Thought we just gonna let that go, cuz. No, it's over. You played.
So whether this is true or not, when Pooh gets word of this, he is pissed. Like, man, what the fuck is wrong with Gucci Mane? Now I'm looking at you sideways, cause where is your loyalty to your artists? Do you not care about them at all? Is it all just about money for you? So here is where tension starts to grow from Pooh Shiesty towards Gucci. And from here, it only gets worse. Like I said earlier in the video, Gucci put a clause in the contract that if Pooh gets locked up or anything happens, he does not get his full money. So the entire time that Pooh Shiesty is locked up, he allegedly does not receive any money from his music. So while sitting in prison for nearly 4 big years, he's in there like, damn, this motherfucker owes me my money. And now we fast forward to his release, October 6, 2025. Pooh Shiesty is finally home and everyone is excited. And right off the bat, he drops an absolute banger.
FDO, FDO.
Of course, it goes viral. Actually, one of the first rap songs in a long time to get up in the charts. So unlike the rappers of the past who got out of prison and really couldn't get their buzz back, Pooh Shiesty was instantly right back on it. So after seeing that he still has the sauce, labels began to tap in. In fact, this is when, allegedly, Yo Gotti offers him $10 million to sign to his label and to leave 1017. Ooh-wee, it sounds good. But the problem is, he owes Gucci Mane 4 more albums. So he's stuck for a while, and on top of this is when he finds out that Gucci made over $25 million off his streams while he was locked up.
Oh, hell nah, bruh.
So you wanted Scar's chain back after he passed away, and now you're making all this money off me and didn't want to do me right? So this is when he, or his father, come up with a big master plan. January 10th, 2026. It's a big day for Gucci Mane as he and his crew are headed to Dallas. Why? Because this is where Pooh is doing his parole and he invited him to come to the studio.
Hey man, look, I know everything, everything messed up, but come to the studio, let's talk business.
Alright, let me stop. Long story short, Pooh Shiesty hits up Gucci like, hey bruh, let's talk business, let's get in the studio, make some hits, and get over our issues. So of course, Gucci is like, cool, and he, his cameraman, and his security guard fly out to Dallas. They arrive at 1 p.m. and they head to the address that Pooh provided. At 1 p.m., they arrive to the building that the studio is located, and of course, Pooh Shiesty isn't there. He's running late, so Gucci and his guys figure, hey, to kill time, let's head to a liquor store, grab some cups, grab some drinks, just to, set the vibe. So while they're doing this, our good friend Mob Boss, also known as Pooh Shiesty's father, is at Staples printing out a contract. What contract? Well, specifically a release form that releases Pooh Shiesty from 1017 Records. Well, while he's printing out the contract, Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 are planning exactly how they're gonna do it. It being convincing Gucci Mane to sign the contract. Well, finally, at 3:27 p.m., Pooh Shiesty and his guys arrive to the studio. They shake hands with Gucci and his crew, and together they all head upstairs. So they're all sitting down in the studio chopping it up when Pooh Shiesty gets a call. Who is it? His parole officer telling him that he needs to go home immediately. Overhearing the convo, Gucci's like, hey bruh, just go home, handle that, we'll go in the studio another time, I'll stay here in Dallas, don't even worry about it. But nah, Pooh Shiesty hangs up the phone call and says, nah bruh, it's all good, I ain't tripping off that. Wait, actually, bruh, Gucci, I just want to talk to you one-on-one. Let's go in this side room. So together, Pooh Shiesty and Gucci head off to the side room right next to the studio. And this is when Pooh Shiesty asks him a simple, straightforward question. Can you please release me from my contract? I don't want to be signed to 1017 anymore. And if not, can you give me my 20% that you owed me while I was in prison? This is when Gucci Mane pretty much responds, look bruh, I ain't got the money for you. Let's just figure out these last 4 albums. That's it. I don't know what he expected, but Pooh Shiesty is not happy with the response. So this is when he allegedly signals to Big 30, and then Big 30 leaves, goes to the car, grabs a bag, and comes back upstairs. He returns to the meeting room with a duffel bag full of guns and with Pooh Shiesty's father. And this is allegedly when Pooh Shiesty's dad grabs a Draco out of the bag and ups it at Gucci.
Sign this contract or I'm blowing you down.
Mine. So under duress and the threat of his life being ended, Gucci signs the contract. Somehow they're able to pull this all off in a side room with no cameras and no evidence. Basically at this exact moment, they have a very high chance of getting away with this. Gucci can't really claim that he didn't actually sign the contract, because he's on camera shaking their hands, walking up to the studio with them, and everything seems amicable. And then because his crew were in the other room, he really has no witnesses to say that, hey, they forced me to do this. And if he did want to make this claim, he'd have to go the legal way and call the police and say, hey, they upped the gun at me and forced me to sign this, blah, 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 blah. Of course, in this twisted rap street culture, doing that makes you a snitch and makes your career pretty much over. So again, at this exact moment, Gucci Mane lost the deal. All Pooh Shiesty and his guys have to do is go on about their day like nothing happened, leave the studio, and then they're free. But no, this is when all of Pooh's crew whip out guns and begin robbing Gucci's crew at gunpoint. Cash, jewelry, music equipment, camera equipment, everything. They ransack them, run away from the studio, hop in their car, and speed away. All of this not knowing that Gucci's security guard is an off-duty police officer. So Pooh Shiesty, his crew, and his dad run off like, yeah, we got out of the contract, we lit. Not knowing that Gucci Mane and his crew went right to the police and they're cooking up an indictment. So for a few months, while Pooh Shiesty and his dad are feeling like geniuses, they have no idea what's right around the corner.
9 suspects involved in the robbery and kidnapping of rapper Gucci Mane have been arrested. Officials say the alleged ringleader behind the attack was rapper Pooh Shiesty. Our Preseda Olguin has been on top of this story and has the latest.
Aside from learning that the 9th and final suspect has been arrested, we've been able to obtain video which shows the FBI at Pooh Shiesty's home the day he was arrested. Take a look at that video. This happened in Memphis. Federal authorities say Shiesty was the ringleader behind the attack on Gucci Mane here in Dallas. That incident happened back in January at a music studio located off Dallas Parkway. The DOJ says Gucci Mane and 2 others were allegedly kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint. They say 9 people were involved, including Pooh Shiesty's father and Big 30. For background, Pooh Shiesty signed on to Gucci Mane's record label back in 2020. And according to the DOJ, Pooh Shiesty is the one who set up the meeting to discuss his recording contract.
As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint. The remaining conspirators displayed firearms and robbed the other victims of Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items.
Pooh Shiesty was released from federal prison in October and was placed on home confinement for a previous conviction, meaning that it's likely he was wearing an ankle monitor at the time of the crime. Officials say all 9 suspects will be transported here to North Texas, where they will face their crimes. Now, if convicted, each suspect can face life in prison. For now, reporting in Dallas, Preseda Olguin, CBS News, Texas.
Woo! So just like that, Pooh Shiesty, just 100 days after being released from prison, is right back in there and probably is going to spend the the rest of his life in there. Ugh. Okay, so now I'm just curious what you think. Do you think it was his dad or him who came up with the plan? I mean, they're both two of the dumbest criminals in world history. But either way, let's just assume that Pooh Shiesty's career is done, at minimum, because he's at least going to be gone for 15 years. 10, 15, maybe 20, maybe 30. It's done. But instead, let's focus back on Gucci Mane, because a lot of people are criticizing him, saying that he's a snitch. Like, bro, you spent your whole career lecturing everyone on the streets and being solid and never snitching and doing this, that, and the third in the streets. But then when you're a victim of the lifestyle you promoted, you go to the police and be a civilian. In my opinion, you can't really pick and choose. You either have to be 100% civilian or in the streets and deal with the consequences. Guys think, should Gucci be held liable to the street codes because that's what he pushed his whole freaking life? Or is it like, hey man, you're mature now, you ain't gotta do all that? Well, to get away from the snitching topic, let's get back to Pooh Shiesty and just say, my goodness, what a dumb dude. And his dad, boy, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
You wanna talk about the dumbest criminals in history in the rap game? These niggas is retarded, man. You went to Staples to get the contract, like they can't trace it back to Staples. You turn around and rob them of everything when you didn't have to.